The M2 Carbine is a truly unique assault rifle available to assault players in Battlefield 5. Whilst you would be forgiven for thinking that this is just another close quarter AR, much like, for example, the M1907SF, it is in fact in many ways closer to the Riberol or even Battlefield 4 AEK than it is really to any close quarter SMG or AR currently in the game. And that of course despite its very high fire rate and pretty decent close quarter performance. For those who just want a quick rundown, the M2 Carbine is one of the best all-range assault rifles currently in the game, offering consistent damage and accurate fire at everything but extreme long ranges. It does benefit from some decent recoil control and even a little bit of bursting, but it is fully capable of going full auto on targets that are at close enough ranges. For those who want a little bit more detail, let's start off by talking about the stats of the M2 Carbine. It comes with a very low damage model with a maximum damage of 17 and a minimum damage of 12, netting it a relatively poor 6 to 9 shot kill depending on the engagement distances. Up until and including 10 meters, you're looking at a 6 shot kill, between 10 and 30 meters, a 7 shot kill, between 30 and 50 meters, a 8 shot kill, and from 50 meters onwards, a 9 bullet to kill. To make up for that to a certain extent, you have a very high fire rate, actually the highest in the assault class of weaponry, at 830 rounds per minute, paired of course with a very generous magazine size of 31 bullets. In terms of your reload times, at 2.2 seconds for the short reload and 3.05 seconds for the long reload, things are pretty decent as well, and also the vertical recoil on this weapon is relatively tame with 0.348 degrees on a per shot basis. It's in terms of the horizontal recoil though that this weapon is truly unique. With 0.025 to the left and 0.175 to the right, not only do we have unequal horizontal recoil, I believe a first for any Battlefield 5 weapon, but more importantly, there's a massive difference in magnitude here between the left and right hand side pull of the weapon. For a matter of fact, the right hand side recoil values are 7 times higher than those on the left, which means, much like we had with Battlefield 4 to a certain extent, this horizontal recoil can be compensated for by the player, and this is relatively easy to demonstrate as the weapon, when fired without any kind of recoil control, clearly pulls up and to the right instead of, as per usual with the assault rifles, more left, right, snaking its way up as it goes. The fact that these left and right hand side horizontal value differences are so large also means that the horizontal recoil can be to a relatively large extent compensated for, which is unlike quite a few of the Battlefield 4 weapons where the differences were of smaller magnitude, and thus no matter how good your compensation was, you were still essentially dealing with horizontal recoil that would prevent you from being perfectly accurate. To round things off on the stats front, however, in terms of the spread values, as per usual for an assault rifle, you're looking at 0.1 degrees of minimum spread when aiming down sight and standing still, 0.3 while doing the same and moving simultaneously, and 3.0 for hip firing, standing and moving at the same time. Over in your specialization options then, in your first choice, you can either go for slings and swivels for 15% faster weapon switching and shooting after sprint, or quick aim for 33% faster ADS times. Then you can either go down the left hand side for enhanced grip, giving you better hipfire accuracy, followed by the polished action, which gives you better sustained hipfire accuracy over a longer period of time. If you instead go for the right hand side, you're looking at a more accuracy, medium range focused build with the ported barrel, giving you a 25% reduction to your horizontal recoil, making the weapon even further controllable at more medium long ranges, and the custom stock, which improves your accuracy while moving and shooting simultaneously. Then lastly, the choice is between quick reload for 15% faster reloads and the lightened stock for 60% faster movement while aiming down sight. In terms of my personal preferences, while most of today's footage is shot with a right, left, right build, that is quick aim followed by the hipfire enhancements and lightened stock, now having looked at the stats and realized that there is actually unequal horizontal recoil and truly the potential of this weapon at more medium long ranges, I probably would recommend an exclusive right hand side build with quick aim, ported barrel, custom stock and lightened stock, though the hipfire upgrades do make this weapon a very formidable close quarter SMG challenger, maybe not to something like the Swarmy or Nambu Type 2A, but most other SMGs or close quarter focused weapons, and thus the choice is absolutely up to you. In terms of the comparative performance then of this weapon and how it slots in the wider scope of weapon balance, the simplest comparison I can give you is that the M2 performs much like a Type 100 within the first, say, 20 meters, and then like a K7 from roughly 20 to 50 meters. Sure, the broken Type 2A will beat it in extreme close quarters and perform similar all the way up to at least 40 meters, but from that point onwards, the M2 clearly outperforms it, making it not only a viable fully automatic option, but let's also not forget, the Naboo Type 2A is not really the benchmark comparison here, as that weapon is confirmed to be getting a quite drastic nerf in the upcoming patch, as it is currently somewhat overpowered. In a slightly more detailed analysis, in terms of its raw time to kill, this weapon also compares very similarly to the STG-44. Sure, the STG will beat this weapon sub 10 meters and maintains a small advantage between 10 and 30 meters, but its disadvantage starts to get quite significant, especially after 50 meters onwards. Also, what that really ignores, of course, is recoil and fire rate, which are both to the advantage of the M2 Carbine, especially compared to something like the STG, which has relatively noticeable horizontal recoil that is equal to both sides and thus can't really be compensated for. The M2 not only has a higher fire rate, meaning that missing an individual shot is less influential on your overall time to kill, something especially useful in hectic close quarter scenarios, and it has, frankly, far more controllable horizontal recoil, meaning its hit rate at more medium ranges, even maybe medium long ranges, is going to be significantly better compared to something like an STG, possibly even something like a Riberol, which frankly, while having possibly the better overall recoil model and definitely being somewhat easier to control, has a quite significant raw time to kill disadvantage over something like the M2 Carbine. On a note of playstyle and how to use this weapon, in many ways it's similar to an STG-44 in that it's a pretty flexible all-rounder. However, a little bit of recoil control, especially on this weapon, and if you can also manage to do a bit of horizontal recoil control, not only vertical, is going to turn this weapon from good to absolutely fantastic and make it a true medium long range king amongst the current meta in the game on the fully automatic weapon side. How this of course fares after the upcoming 6.2 update rejumbles and rechanges all of the weapon balance is yet to be seen, but as of now, it is one of the more interesting weapons out there and offers truly unique performance. It also is capable, with the right specializations, of being one of the best close quarter ARs, maybe not because of its damage output, but because of the availability of dual hipfire upgrades, which do make it a quite formidable hipfire enemy, at least at those distances you'd usually hipfire with anything but an SMG. That pretty much wraps it up for the M2 Carbine and my thoughts on it. Leave your own experiences down below. If you enjoyed the video, a rating would be much appreciated. But with all that being said, I'd like to thank you very much for watching and hope to see you in the next Battlefield 5 video.